Fluency is the ability to read accurately, quickly, and with expression. It is difficult to understand text when reading is not fluent. Lack of fluency is a sign that a learner is using their cognitive energy for decoding and understanding text at the word and sentence level. Reading fluency is dependent on having a large and instantly accessible sight word vocabulary in long-term memory. The reading brain does not store words as images. Words are not memorized as unanalyzed wholes. They must be analyzed to enable mapping. Word analysis depends on phonemic awareness and sound letter knowledge. Orthographic mapping is the process that readers use to store written words for immediate effortless retrieval. It is the process for turning unfamiliar written words into familiar, instantaneously accessible sight words in long-term memory. Orthographic mapping draws on our memory of how a word is spoken and links the sequence of sounds to the sequence of letter patterns that represent these sounds. This involves phonemic awareness and letter sound knowledge. Words that have been learnt in this way become sight words, words that are instantly recognised and no longer need to be decoded. Learners need to know how to apply phonological awareness and phonics knowledge to new words and be able to independently bond word sequences into long-term memory. This cannot take place without attention to phonology applied in word analysis. Any instructional method that takes attention away from the sequences of letters in words will interfere with efficient orthographic mapping. Building orthographic mapping skills enables a learner to read more independently, as they are able to draw on their sound letter knowledge and decoding skills to work out words for themselves.
So you've been practicing segmenting the individual sounds in words, and it's great to see you getting better at that. And you're recognising some of the letter patterns that represent those sounds through reading your decodable readers. Okay. So it'd be useful to practice mapping letters onto the sounds so that it help you get those letter sequences into your long-term memory, the words into your long-term memory, so that you can eventually recognise them instantly when you're reading. Yeah. So let's try the word fright. I wasn't expecting that to happen and I had a terrible fright. Okay, say the word fright for me.
Fright.
How many sounds in fright? Move a counter into each one of these as you say the sounds.
I, t.
Great. Okay. So now have a try to write letters that represent each sound in there. Say the sounds as you write them.
Okay. I, t.
Okay, this one and this one are good. We have an I sound, and sometimes that does represent, the letter I represents it, but there are other ways of representing it. Can you remember them? We've got the split digraph, I-E, and the trigraph.
I-G-H?
Well done, yeah. That's the one, yeah. Okay, so let's just check that with mine, see if it's right.
Yep.
Okay, good work, well done. So how do you spell the word fright?
F-R-I-G-H-T.
Well done. I like the way you're saying those trigraph letters all together. That helps to get them into the memory as well. So write the word at the bottom here, please.
F-R-I-G-H-T.
Good work. Now let's move that away. Tell me how to spell fright.
F-R-I-G-H-T.
Yes, and tell me a sentence using that word.
I got a fright when watching the scary movie.
Okay, good work. Yeah, so that's good. A good trigraph to put on your list of words for revision this week for your homework. Yep. Thanks for that.
A sight word is a word that is instantly and effortlessly recognisable from memory, regardless of whether it is phonically regular or irregular. When learning words with an irregular or unusual spelling, the same process of word analysis applies. Usually only one part of the word has the unusual pattern. Other words with the same unusual orthographic pattern should be taught as a set of words at the same time. Sometimes unusual patterns are remnants of older English spellings, so investigating the origin of words can reveal why the spelling exists.
So you've told me that the name of your street is really hard to remember how to spell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Heathcomb. I can never remember how to spell it.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of ways we can have a look at that to make it a bit easier for you. So let's map the sounds on the grid. So there's two parts to that word, Heathcomb, aren't there? So they're heath and comb. So here it is written here for you. Let's pop the sounds into the grid and say them as you write them. So start with heath.
E.
How many sounds there so far?
That's 3 sounds.
Yeah. Now comb.
And k, o, m. That's 3 sounds, so 6 sounds.
6 sounds altogether. Well done. Okay, so you know these digraphs, EA making the E sound, and you know the TH making the, in that word, th. Okay, so it's this trigraph on the end that you've probably never seen before.
No.
It's a pretty unusual one. What are the letters in that trigraph?
MBE.
And what sound do they make in that word?
M.
Okay, so that's the bit we need to remember, isn't it? Okay, so write that in the end there for the tricky part that needs to be remembered. Okay, cool. So teach that word Heathcomb back to me now.
HEATHCOMBE.
Great, okay. So I can't think of any other word at the moment that has that MBE trigraph in it. I imagine it sits at the end most of the time. But I noticed on the map, on Google Maps that we were looking at, have a look at this street here. What's that on the end?
MBE.
Yeah, so the trigraph is there on the end of that. Can you read that word?
Winscombe.
Yeah.
Winscombe.
Okay, so once you knew that that MBE made the M sound, you were good to read that. That's great. Okay, so Winscombe Street. Have you heard of Linscombe Larder that's down that way as well?
Yeah.
Yep. So there's those 3 words here. Tell me what they are.
Heathcombe, Winscombe, Lipscombe.
Okay, all have the MBE trigraph on the end, all have that same word part there, comb, on the end as well. So 3 different sounds, but the MBE on the end each time. Great, okay. So they're all name places, right? So names of people, surnames, come from, they have stories attached to them usually. So that word Heathcomb, being a name, 2 parts to it. Let's check it out on Google and see if we can find what it means, what the story behind it is. Well, so it's got it in 2 parts. So heath.
Heath means a grassy place.
Okay, cool. And comb, sorry, it was once pronounced coombe.
And it's a valley.
Yeah, it's a Celtic word meaning valley. So what do you think the story of that name is?
Someone who lived in a grassy valley.
Yeah, makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. So some interesting stories behind the words that make our surnames and the names of places as they come through. So it's useful to know those stories, and helps you to remember how to spell words sometimes. So it also helps to realise that a word you think is totally irregular is actually just different in 1 or 2 parts, and they're the parts that you need to remember, not the whole word. Okay. So you're wanting to fill in that application form.
Yeah.
Let's have a go at writing your address on there this time.
Okay.
See how you go.
Decodable readers enable a reader to practice reading words to consolidate learning of new sound letter patterns. Text with less restricted words can lead to cognitive overload. Exposure to texts dealing with topics of interest or relevancy should also be used for other activities with adults, but not when building fluency ability. With fluency activities, the focus for the first reading needs to support decoding. Subsequent readings can shift a learner's focus to reading for fluency, which helps the reader understand the text that they are reading. A range of fluency exercises promote repeated reading to build fluency, and while these may improve the fluency of a particular passage, this should not be the focus of lessons, which can be better utilised building orthographic mapping skills and building words stored in long-term memory.
Okay, so let's practice your decodable reader that you started last week. Okay, so go to practice on getting the words right to start with, and then we'll look at reading with a bit more fluency.
Okay.
So starting from here.
Okay. Liz decides.
Okay, so that's a soft C. Whole word.
Decides.
Good.
to change the menu. I must try and find things that they like. I will ask them for ideas.
That's that long I again. Ideas.
Yes, ideas.
Well done. Okay, so good. Just read that last sentence for me again.
I must try and find things that they like. I will ask them for ideas.
Great. So good. You've done the decoding there, and that's helped to get those words into your memory, long-term memory. But now let's have a go at reading together so that we can get a smooth, fluent reading of it. Okay? So that helps you to get the story into your memory as well as the words. Okay? So here we go. I'll read and you read with me. Liz decides to change the menu. So what just happened there?
Liz changed the menu.
Yeah. And she did that because Flick and Jess are on
Diets.
Yeah, well
Yeah.
done. Okay, so you've got the story happening there now,
Yeah.
as well as some of those words that were a bit tricky for you.
Mm.
Good job.
Yeah.